When you're looking at career, when you're looking at profession, knowing and understanding the 10th house or the 10th lord of the D10 chart, of the Lagna chart is not enough. It's also important to see where the opportunities lies from the Dashamsa. And here the different house lords, especially looking at collaborative effort, partnership effort from the 7th lord of the Dashamsa is very important for us to look deep into. Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan. Once more with you from your very own channel, Astro Assurance. We have been doing this series of looking at the career, the profession, the vocation, deeply in view of the placement of different planets, different house lords, specifically connected to the 10th house of the D10 chart, the Lagna chart, its house lord, where it is conjunct with, and so forth. However, we have been also doing the series of the Dashamsa, the D10 chart, and where different house lords of the Dashamsa lie. Because then we can see at a finer level, at a deeper level, where the career is throwing us opportunities from. Now, when the 7th house lord of the Dashamsa is placed in the first house within the Dashamsa, what does this mean? This means that your strong professional identity. Now, with the 7th house lord of the Dashamsa of the D10 chart is lying in the first house, within the D10 chart, within the Dashamsa chart. Now, this is a very important placement where the person is looking at a self-made career, a career where I am able to do things on my own. I am able to lead from the front. This can also be, to a certain extent, a placement of entrepreneurship, where you're collaborating, where you're working with people in a proprietary role or a partnership role or even an entrepreneur role, where you're also the leader. However, here the success will come through collaboration, through partnership, even when you're self-made, even when you have an entrepreneurial spirit. The reason being is here we are talking about the 7th lord in the first house of the Dashamsa. So here, without a collaborative effort, without a partnership-based effort, without the ability to work with people, even your entrepreneurship, even your ability to have a lot of flexibility to do things on your own may not come by, may not give you that success. So the propenship or the proprietorship that you may want to do for your own business will also come when you're working with people. The second thing is here, you may not always be an entrepreneur. However, whatever success that you will get will come through partnership, your ability to work with people in a collaborative effort. So even when you're the leader or head of the department in any organization, or even if you are starting off in a new role, even there, your ability to be able to have some stature, some dignity, some pride, some respect, even from your colleagues will come only when you are working with them, when you're collaborative with them, when you have respect for their abilities also, when you have respect for what they bring to the table also, you work with people. Now, what is important is also that this will bring a strong sense of professional identity through partnership, but also in how you are able to deal with people and work with people on a day-to-day basis. Mind you, here we're talking about the 7th house lord. So here, joint ventures or a marriage-based partnership where you are getting married to somebody and then working with your spouse. Through that, your self-identity is arising, especially for women. This is very strong. Or without a partner support, you will not be able to do very well. So here, your dignity, your self-identity, your placement, your stature connected to your work will also come through partnership. It can even be through partnership of working with spouses. You are working with your spouse in a partnership where you are one of the entrepreneurs also. So yeah, the public image is very important, which will also lead you to business alliances with people. Your ability to work with people or have business alliances will also be when you are showing an entrepreneurial spirit or leadership or accountability spirit while you're working with people. So if you're asking for funds to start your own business, to do your own thing, there also you should show that you have a strong team who backs you, they support you, and you have an ability to take the team along rather than people doing things on your own. So the challenge here can be sometimes you can be very over-dependent of others for your own self-worth, for your own self-dignity, for your own image. So here, important is work with people for the sake of working, not to add to your self-image or identity. That will come from the output that you get with working with people. So on the whole, this is a collaborative based success coming in your career, where your dignity, your pride, your stature in society, all is getting enhanced through your collaborative effort, through your partnership, through your ability to work with people. Now, when the 7th house lord in the Dashamsa, in the D10 chart, is placed in the 2nd house within the D10 chart. Now, what is important is that the 10th house of the D1 chart, the Lagna chart, has some sort of a relationship with the placement of a house lord in the D10, so that it shows more promise, more ability to be able to contribute to your career. Because the 10th house of the D10 chart is very important, it will bring in its own flavor. So if there is a strong connection between the 10th lord of the Lagna chart, of the D1 chart, in some way through conjunction or placed in the same nakshatra or placed in the same degree or under aspect, then this second house lord of the 7th house lord in the 2nd house in the D10 chart becomes very important. So what does this mean? This means that your wealth will come through your ability to be able to working with clients, with people who you are able to work with on a day-to-day basis, where you are able to make money through your ability to work with people and in a collaborative effort. So whatever you do, the money will come only when you're working with teams, working in a teamwork, working in shared roles, where you say you are doing this, I'm doing this, you're looking at the manufacturing side, I'm looking at the marketing side. So there should be some shared ownership of the responsibilities. Then the money comes in, because the 7th house lord is in the 2nd house of the D10 chart. So 7th house is partnership and collaboration, 2nd house is money, 2nd house is finances, 2nd house is family business, 2nd house is working in the food industry, 2nd house is when you're earning through your ability to charm people, through your language, through your communication skills also. However, yeah, it means that you have to work with values. Your values should be very strong. You should be able to approach and showcase that you are somebody who will stand by your word. Sometimes the money can come in also with spouse's help or spouse financing you, or with spouse's luck also. So sometimes with this placement, I've seen that spouse invests some money in your venture, in your work, in your business, and then it flourishes. Or after marriage, you have some change in your career, in your work, in the city that you're working in, or you take up a new role, or you join a different department, or you join a new industry, and then you do very well. However, the business success comes from only when you are focusing on your ability to be able to convey what you are saying with beautiful speech, with beautiful communication. If you're talking the business language, then your ability to be able to exert an influence on others is stronger. Sometimes this can also be that you're working in some family business, where, or using family's assets in your business. For example, you have a big home and one of the room you're using to do something on your own, working out of home, or you're working in the family's bakery, you're working in the family's loom. So something connected to family also come in, or through your family lineage, you're in the same business. So it can be your grandfather was doing some business which your father didn't do. Then you got into the business and then you're doing very well. However, without some collaboration of family, of spouse, of team, some collaboration, it is difficult to get more money in. This may also mean sometimes you need more support in your business of partners in that competence which you don't have. So you are very good in your communication, but the technical ability is coming from somebody else rather than your own. And then you're combining your ability to be able to charm people, talk very well, communicate very well, show strong dignity, show strong value, show strong family heritage. So somebody you're trying to influence and you tell them that this is my family business, 3 generations, 4 generations have been in this business, I know in and out of the business, then you are able to strike a deal with them. But they are also looking at the competence coming in, where 2 or 3 people coming together, then their confidence in you is higher. However, the challenge sometimes here is that there can be some problems, some friction for money, for profits also. So you need to be very careful what kind of a deal you're doing, and sometimes you being too much driven by values can also be hindrance. So you need to be a little smart with this placement, because a lot of money can be involved. Now, when the 7th house lord of the Dashamsa of the D10 chart is in the 3rd house. Now, it's important to note that the 10th house and the 10th house lord of the D1 chart, of the Lagna Lord, of the Lagna chart is very important. So unless the 7th house Lord, which is placed in the 3rd house that we're talking about in the D10 chart, has some sort of a relationship with the 10th Lord of the D1 chart, the Lagna chart, then the ability of this to show more promise, more success, more relation to your career is reduced. Because if suppose the planets are the same, or they are in conjunction in either the D10 chart or the Lagna chart, or they are placed in the same signs, or they are placed with the same nakshatras, or both of them are conjunct with the same planet, then there is a stronger affiliation, there is a stronger connection between the two. Then the 7th house Lord's placement in the 3rd house in the D10 chart will give more prominence or more influence on your career. However, what does this mean? 7th house Lord going into the 3rd house of the D10 chart means here your ability to be able to network with people is very important. Your ability to market what you're doing is very important. And here many a times your ability to market or influence things also comes in. How much effort that you're putting in that area. So firstly, if you're doing something, maybe your own business or doing something of your own effort, or you're working in an organization where you're asking for more responsibility, you're asking for more more ownership or more flexibility, then your ability to be able to network with people and work with other people is very important. So if the leadership role will come to you, it will come only when you have shown some degree of history that you have been able to work with people, you have been able to collaborate with people, and your networking skills are very good. Your ability to work with people in different, maybe other departments or other team members within your team is very important. So only then you are able to create more influence on your career, more influence in your ability to be able to grow. However, this is a very strong placement of something that you do on your own. However, this is more based on some competence that you have with either your finger or artistic approach or your communication skills or marketing or something that you learned, acquired that skill, and then you're doing something. So this is that kind of a thing, rather than you're doing something on your own where you don't have the competency. So this is a very, very strong competency base where you are also an expert, where you also have some degree of maybe experience that you have already acquired working with people, and then doing something of your own or asking for responsibility or asking for a greater role is this placement. However, sometimes what happens with this placement, that you also need to be self-motivated in such a role. There will be less motivation which is coming from bosses, coming from others. It is something that you will have to find the motivation or the energy within yourself rather than somebody coming and helping you out. Now, what is important is, because it is the 7th house Lord which has gone into the 3rd house, so without the ability to work with people and both of you are putting in equal effort, only then you get it materializes to give you results. If only the other partner is putting in a lot of effort, you are not, or the other way around, then you get less success. So this is a placement where as a team you need to put in a lot of effort to be able to get the results of the project or whatever responsibility has been given to you. If one of you is on your own and other is not supporting, this gets less support. The other is, only in a collaborative role are you able to influence people better. So if you're trying to strike a deal with somebody, you're trying to exert an influence on somebody through a presentation, you will also have to showcase that the team behind you or the team with you is also very strong and you're able to deliver the results. If not, then there is a challenge. However, here sometimes what may happen is that there can be small rivalries which can also come in. Some competition can also be developed. Sometimes this can also be good placement that you collaborate with somebody who is a very good friend or a sibling or a cousin or somebody who may be a friend, but you look at the person almost like a brother or a sister. Then the business does very well, then the entrepreneurship also does very well. Some of the businesses that you can do with this is connected to e-commerce or related to marketing or sales, but also to writing. There are a lot of people who are good writers, good communicators who have worked in collaboration with others to come out with a very good writing book or maybe some thesis they have come out with, some article. So overall, a very communication-based, effort-based, motivation-based growth and success is the placement of the 7th house Lord in the 3rd house. Now, when the 7th house Lord is in the 4th house of the D10 chart of the Dashamsa chart. Now here, for the 7th house lord's placement in the 4th house to have a greater impact on your career, it has to have a strong relationship either with the 10th house or the 10th lord of the Lagna chart of the D1 chart in some way, where the 7th house lord, if it's going into the 4th house in the D10 chart, then it should be placed either in the 10th house or the Lagna, the 10th lord of the D1 chart, for it have to greater say in the career or your vocation or your business or whatever you're trying to do. Otherwise, the greater influence will be of the 10th lord of the D10 chart. So yeah, if it is establishing any connection, then its ability to be able to give you greater success is very good. In fact, this can also give you the ability to work in a business where you're very comfortable. You may want to do business, or you may want to work in something where you really want to, where you're comfortable doing that thing, or you're very experienced doing that thing, or you have some background, or you love to do that thing, or you are at home in that venture, in that business. So for example, some people are very good extrovert, so they're very comfortable in marketing, they're very comfortable sitting at the counter, rather dealing with people. They're very comfortable in customer service, they're very comfortable being at counter sales, because they are extroverts, they like to talk to people, they like to deal with people, they may like to be traveling salespeople also. So it's something where they have a chance to work with people. So something that they are very, because the 7th house is involved, so they have to work with people and be collaborative, but something which gives them a lot of satisfaction and which they're very comfortable with. If they are not comfortable in what they're doing, they are not satisfied with what they're doing, or they are not at ease with what they're doing, if they're not at home with what they're doing, then the success is less. So yeah, in spite of a huge collaboration, lot of teamwork, lot of effort that you're putting in a partnership, but you're not comfortable in doing that role, you're not comfortable in that business, you're not comfortable in that industry, then the success doesn't come to you. Generally, the success comes through either education or real estate or even interior designing. Something with the home can also be a good vocation. I've seen people do artwork with this, where you are helping people with the artwork. Some people help with the landscaping, maybe outside of the house rather than inside. But there is some connection to the home appliances, home comfort, or doing a business where a family is involved here, or your business contributes to the family. There you will have more success than anything else. Sometimes, but however, it is about collaboration and partnership. So sometimes what you can do very well in, say for example, real estate, or in agriculture, or in food business, yeah, there should be some collaborative effort. So for example, if you're designing a home, then for example, you're looking at what kind of a sofa, what kind of chairs, what kind of the settee or bed you need to, but somebody is looking at the colors, somebody is looking at the material, somebody is looking at the sourcing side. So there should be something collaborative of you working with people to be able to get success in which you are comfortable, or connected to home, or connected to designing, sometimes even connected to vehicles or property. So something which is tangible, which you can buy, which you can own, which you can showcase to people, is what is the 7th house placement in the 4th house. However, this is also a lot of career fulfillment or emotional fulfillment comes with your professional alliances, with your ability to work with people. But sometimes your domestic conflicts at home can also result in a challenge connected to your work. So yeah, this is the placement where work-life balance is very important to have greater success. So on the whole, if there is any connection of the 10th house or 10th lord of the D1 chart, or any connection of the 10th lord or 10th house of the D10 chart, then this can be an excellent placement, very, very strong placement, where you can make a lot of assets, a lot of money also, through something that you do connected to the 4th house. Now, when the 7th house lord is in the 5th house of the D10 chart, now it's important that the 7th house lord, if it's going into the 5th house in the D10 chart, for it to have a greater say in your career, it should have some sort of a connection with the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D1 chart, of the Lagna chart, or have some connection with the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D10 chart. Without this, the ability to be able to have greater influence in your career, in your vocation will be lessened. But if it does, then it has a very, very strong ability to be able to give you good success through something which is speculative. Yeah, some risk taking is also important. So even if you are working in a career, working in a job with somebody, without taking some risk, the success may not come to you. So for example, if you get very comfortable in a vocation or in a business where you feel I'm too comfortable, I don't want to take any risk, then the growth chances are very less. A lot of people who have been working in the same role in the same organization for 3 to 4 years, there you get stagnated, you don't grow fast. So because you're not taking any risk, you're not pushing your luck within the organization or outside, then you get stagnated. So this is a placement where you need to, 7th house lord in the 5th house on the D10 chart is where you need to keep moving, but in a collaborative effort. Even if you're taking a risk, for example, if you are not doing very well in the current job, in your current company, then you're looking at a placement outside. When you need to look at something where you have some colleague or a friend who's already working in the other organization, maybe in the same department or different department, but in the same organization. So there should be some team which is involved in that, or there should be some collaborative effort that you're going into a new job for you to get greater success. Even that the risks that you're taking in because of which you get more success should be where the risk is not only yours, but there is also greater skin in the game of others as well. So as a team, you're taking more risk. As a team, you're calling the shot. You're pushing the envelope as a team rather than yourself. Or you as a leader is pushing your team also to take more risks, to take more chances, to push your luck, and then to be able to get your success. But this is also because 7th house lord is going into the 5th house. This is also something that you love to do, which will influence your career. So something somewhere in some vocation where you have high interest in, some business that you have high interest in, then you are able to get greater success in this. Sometimes the career may be connected to investments or the real estate or stockbroking, or as an investment manager for somebody, or accounts. So something that you're doing for people, for others, can also be this placement, because the 7th house is about others, this is not about you. So if you have the 7th house lord in the 5th house, as long as you are taking a risk or pushing your luck, always looking at new opportunities, but working with people in something that you love to do, you will always have greater success on your side. Now when the 7th house lord in the D10 chart is in the 6th house, now mind you, the 7th house lord has gone into the 6th house, which means in the 12th place from itself. So on the face of it, on paper, it doesn't look as the best of placements, because any planet which goes 10th from itself, from its house, may not be the best placement for greater success. However, if the 7th house lord now going into the 6th house has any connection with the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D1 chart, of the Lagna chart, then surely it will have greater say based on the dignity of the 7th lord of the D1 chart also. Now, if it doesn't have any connection with the 10th house or 10th lord of the D1 chart, of the Lagna chart, then it should have some say, some connection with the 10th house of the D10 chart or the 10th lord of the D10 chart to have a greater say. If it does in any way, through conjunction, through aspect, through being placed in the same sign, through placed in the same nakshatra, or placed in conjunction with the same house, same planet in either of the chart, then it has strong say in your career. So yeah, with this you will have to work with your subordinates to have greater success, because the 7th house is involved. 7th house is also about working with people, working in team effort, working in a collaborative effort with people in a team. So your ability to partner with subordinates in a service role, in something that you're helping people, where you're doing a duty for others, where you're working in a collaborative environment, is very important. So usually this placement will also give you success, for example, in conflict resolution, where you are looking at conflict management, customer challenges, customer problems, or as a PR manager for some organization. Sometimes in law or in medicine also this can be very good, especially when you're working with people. So for example, lawyer has to work with people, and as a team you work together to be able to win a case or fight a case also. And yeah, sometimes the collaboration can also be in medical related field or health related fields. I've seen with this placement a lot of people also going to getting into manufacturing of equipment surgical equipment, hospital equipment, or in pharma industry. So something there that you are connecting, getting connected to the health, the pharma industry, some sort of a health or service angle they should be. The other thing that you can do with this is, if you're working in some organization where you're fighting for others, standing up for others, for example, taking care of pets or taking care of public grievances in a government role or in a public role where people are raising complaints, you have a complaint against an organization, against some product. There you are working with them and standing up for them, and then you're serving them through talking with them, through dealing with them is also this placement. So this is overall a placement where there may be some initial hiccups. It may not be easy to overcome challenges and then do. But if you have a very service mindset, if you have a collaborative mindset, you have a partnership-oriented mindset, then working in fields which we have talked about can be very good, can lead to greater success. Now, when the 7th house lord is in the 7th house itself in the D10 chart, in the Dashamsa chart. Now, this is a strong placement because the house lord is very comfortable in its own house. However, without having some connection with the 10th house or 10th lord of the Lagna chart, the D1 chart, or with the 10th house or the 10th lord of the D10 chart, then its influence on your career can be lesser than what can be if it is getting some connection with either the 10th house or lord of the D1 or the D10 chart. But if it does, then it can have a greater say in your ability to work with people, in your ability to deal with people, in a collaborative effort, in a team effort. Some team effort will help you do very well. You're standing in society, your dignity, everything will come through your ability to work with people and do that on a day-to-day basis. So if you're working alone in a quiet corner where your contribution is not much to the organization, but in some support function alone, then it will give you lesser results. However, partnerships, collaborative efforts, working with people is central to your career to do very well here. So generally with these people, these people can do very well as the head of a department where you have a team working under you, or in a business venture where you're heading the team also, or in a team partnership where you don't have too many partners. You have just maybe you and one person alone, or maybe maximum 3 people. However, it's important that you have a very important role in the team where you're contributing to a very key aspect of the business or the service to do very well, and somebody else is taking up the other part. So then you get greater success with this. This is also a placement where sometimes your ability to work with people or in a business venture will also come in when you're investing money, not just the effort. Apart from your competence, or your effort, the time that you're giving, you're also investing money. If you're not doing that, then there is lesser chance of success. Or you're bringing in the competence to a certain business, to a certain service, somebody else is putting in money. Then also it becomes a collaborative effort. So without some financial angle involved, the success that you may accrue from this placement will be less. So this is the placement where you're dealing with public on a day-to-day basis, you're dealing with authority, you're dealing with government roles or government servants. Something connected to the government may also come. However, this is the placement where sometimes you may contribute more than the others. There may be less balance in the relationship, less balance in the effort that you're putting in. So what is required is most of the time with such people, you end up doing more, contributing more and getting less. And because of which you share the credit where the credit should come more to you. So yeah, you need to be more careful in how you are pitching in effort, pitching in your partner also, pitching in the partnership also. So with a balanced approach, you can do more. If you're contributing more than you say, with less contribution for others, and yet the team effort is involved, then you may have lesser success. So on the whole, in a collaborative world, in relation with working with people, in business, in partnership, maybe in politics, or in dealing with people on a day-to-day basis, products, daily home products, those products which you need on a day-to-day basis, those services which you need on a day-to-day basis, there the greater success comes in when the 7th house lord of the D10 chart is in the 7th house itself. Now when the 7th house lord in the D10 chart is in the 8th house, here it is important to note that without establishing a strong connection with the 10th house of the 10th lord in the D11 chart of the Lagna chart, the success that you may get from the placement of the 7th house lord in the 8th house, you may get lesser results. However, if there is a stronger connection between the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D11 chart, or even the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D10 chart, with the 7th house lord going into the 8th house through conjunction, through aspect, placed in the same sign, placed in the same nakshatra, or placed in conjunction with the same planet in either of the houses, then the success that you get out of this is more or stronger. So here generally you will find that the success comes suddenly, opportunity comes suddenly. Sometimes the opportunity comes in through the challenges or problems of others. For example, insurances. So if you're dealing in insurance, people will take insurance only because they're scared. Tomorrow my car may meet with an accident, I may meet with an accident, I may fall sick. So there they take insurance. So there your success may also come in an industry where people are investing in insurance or buying insurance, and say you're working for that kind of a organization. So something where there should be some struggle, or you are dealing with in the fire or fire hazard business, or you're working in something where you're taking security equipment. So something where people are scared of their well-being and then they are investing, or they're trying to increase suddenly some things in their wealth. So people will invest money in some wealth management thing, and there you are involved. People are trying to save taxes. So somewhere they are saving themselves, somewhere they are trying to protect themselves, something they are trying to grow. There the success may be stronger, but where you need to collaborate with them or with a team which is doing that business or doing that work. So for example, you're working in a team where you're dealing with insurance or taxation or wealth management or fire or health or emergency services, can be displacement. The second is the opportunity for you will also be sudden. But you will find the opportunity comes in where you're in a team or in a collaborative effort. Suddenly some opportunity comes in. The boss calls you and says, you and you are working together on this project. We don't have too much time. We are working on a deadline. So a lot of time, the time pressure is very strong. The output pressure is very strong. There is more stress on you to be able to come out with a good output and quickly. So this is the pressure-oriented situation. If you are not able to work in a pressure situation and the ability to work with people in high-pressure environment, then those businesses, those vocations, those services are not good for you. However, this is a strong placement where you have to overcome certain challenges, problems, power struggles also with people, sometimes hidden enemies also, to be able to do very well. But however, I've seen with this placement, the greatest success comes to something related to media, something where you're putting yourself in front of a camera, where you're working in something very, so for example, movies or arts, where some exhibition, something that you're exhibiting is also there. And working in emergency services, as we have already talked about. So overall, this is the placement start with initial struggles, some hiccups, some obstacles. But if you're working in a team and if you have the competence, then over a period of time, sudden great success, sudden rise is given to you. Now, when the 7th house lord of the D10 chart is placed in the 9th house, now it's important to note that the 7th house lord, if it's going into the 9th house, it should be having some relationship, some connection with the 10th house or the 10th lord of the D1 chart or the Lagna chart. If not that, then at least it should have some connection with the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D10 chart, for it to have a greater say, to be able to get more success, to be able to get more output. If it has, through conjunction, through synergy, through place in the same sign, to place with the same nakshatra, or place in conjunction with the same planet in either of the houses, then their ability for it to be able to give you more gains in your career, in your vocation, in your service is very high, because the 7th house lord going into the 9th house, 9th house is the house of gains, is very strong. But the 9th house is also your house of higher learning, higher competence, higher experiences, learning from your experiences. So you're in a collaborative environment in your career. You have learned from your experiences and then you're gaining. is this placement. So your faith and belief in the service should be very strong. Your faith and belief in the product should be very strong. Your faith and belief in the collaborative effort should be very strong. Your faith and belief in the team should be very strong. Or the person that you're working with should be very strong. Then you get greater success. However, the 7th Lord going into the 9th house means it's going 3 houses from itself, which means without a lot of effort that you put in, you may not make higher gains. So putting in effort in a collaborative environment, because the 7th house Lord is involved in something which you have gained experience over a period of time, and you have strong competence or a certification or some education, then you get greater success here. This is also placement where slow growth comes to you slowly, but once you have enough experience, once you have enough competence, once you have learned to work with people, then the gains come to you very quickly, very strongly. And you also make those connections which over a period of time give you more richness of experience and give you greater success also. So generally this placement can give you success in the legal matters, in tourism, in spirituality, in education, going long distances, working with people. This can also be in travel or spiritual tourism also. This can be good success. But however, this has to be in a partnership where the competence that you showcase is one part of what is required in the business. Your partner is bringing in the other aspect. However, strong experience, strong competence, strong certification, strong learning, and having some richness of experience in that will give you greater gains in a collaborative environment. So very strong placement for gains overall. So some of the chances that you get through in higher gains will also come in with people who you work with different cultures. So for example, you are working with somebody who comes from a different culture altogether. So even from the same country, it comes from a very diverse place, so place very, very different from yours. For example, if you are somebody from India, somebody who works, who's coming from South India, Southern India, working with somebody from the Northeast, very, very different cultures, and then working together in a collaborative environment, both of you are bringing in competence. For example, I've seen one band where you have somebody from Northeast, one person is from Bombay, which is Western India, somebody from Chennai in South India, one person is from Punjab, which is like Western, Northern India. They have formed a music band and they're doing very well. So you're working with people from different cultures, but in a collaborative effort where everybody is bringing in their own competence. One is a guitarist, one is a singer, one is on drums, then coming in with greater success and going abroad, traveling and then doing your business. So this group also travels around the country to play at different places, 9th house or long distance, remember, and then they make gains. And with richer experience, with every passing experience, they gain more and more, they do more and more. So, but the strong faith and belief is so strong for the kind of music that they do, they get great success. So it's important that you believe in the competence in the team, you believe in the kind of work that you're doing, you have the competence in it, you have the experiences, then you grow and then you get great success. So learn with this placement to work with people, but also to add competency, also certification, not just experiential, but certification where you're getting certified on competency, maybe 2 or 3. So the richness of the experience, certification, and the collaborative success and your ability to work with people will give you great success. When the 7th house Lord goes into the 9th house. Now, if the 7th house Lord is in the 10th house of the D10 chart, now this is a very strong placement where you're directly connecting your ability to be able to do very well in your career with collaborative effort, with partnership, with teamwork, ability to work with people. However, the stronger result may come if the 7th house Lord of the D10 chart, if it is going into the 10th house on the D10 chart, is establishing some relationship with the 10th house or the 10th Lord of the D1 chart, the Lagna chart. So if it does, through synergy, through conjunction, through being placed on the same nakshatra or placed in mutual aspect, some connection which it establishes in the D1 chart, in the Lagna chart, then this is very, very strong ability to be able to contribute strongly to your career, to your vocation. However, in a partnership, however, in a collaborative effort. So yeah, many times I've seen with this placement, somebody who is very strong in their work, very strong in the industry, very strong in the competence that they do, but they are a leader of a team, or they are being given responsibility of a project where others are working under them. So your designation is also involved along with your collaborative effort and your ability to work with people. So generally, you very quickly grow to the leadership position with this placement if you know how to work with people. So if you are able to deal with people, work with people, lead people, then very soon, after having showcased your competence, your leadership competence, your ability to work with people, synergistic effort, you grow very quickly. So the designation is comes stronger to you and quicker to you than others. However, what happens if you are not able to work with people and ability to show results? You're not able to show fruits of the project. Then you get stagnated. So I've seen many people get one promotion, become an assistant manager, become a maybe a deputy manager or somebody with a small team, and then you're not able to contribute, then you get stagnated because the high leadership is not having complete confidence on you. So yeah, this is important to keep moving, to keep pushing the envelope and adding to your experience, adding to your competence with and your ability to work with people to get greater success. So you have to keep pushing the superiors that give me a larger role, give me a bigger project, give me a more difficult project. When you're doing it, then you're able to get more success. So usually this is a placement where you become some sort of a manager, you are in some sort of an administration, you maybe in some department which is working in the head office, or which is working under an important leader, or you are working in an important department, you're working in a key department, like you're working in operations, you're working in sales, or you're working in finance. So where the department contributes stronger to the business is this placement. And with this placement, government gets involved, authority gets involved, senior leadership gets involved. So here you need to, or you get an opportunity of working with very senior people on a day-to-day basis. So the quicker you are able to work with people, the department heads, the quicker you grow also. But with this, the recognition comes, or the appreciation comes only when you're able to influence those higher-ups with the superiors. If you're not able to do that, then the success comes lesser or comes lower. So firstly, your ability to work with people in an environment where you're able to contribute, where you are able to show success, then the designation, the corner office, everything comes to you. And your reputation is very key here. How you are able to, what your reputation is in front of seniors. If your reputation is strong, even if your competence is slightly lesser, but your reputation to be able to deliver the goods is strong, then you get greater success. So with the 7th house lord going into the 10th house, very, very powerful placement of working with a team in collaboration with seniors, with superiors, and then ultimately getting success. Now, when the 7th house lord is in the 11th house of the D10 chart, the Dashamsa chart. Now, if the 7th house lord, when it goes into the 11th house, if this placement, this planet has establishing some connection with the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D1 chart, the Lagna chart, or some connection with the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D10 chart, then it is a very, very strong influence. Otherwise, it will give a lesser contribution. But if it is able to establish some relation with either the D1 10th house or 10th lord, or D10 10th house or 10th lord, then the ability to be able to get gains in a collaborative effort, in a synergistic effort, is very, very strong. Remember, the 7th house is about partnership, is about collaboration. 11th house is about networking, ability to work with masses, for a cause. And yeah, your ability to be able to contribute in intra-departmental connection is also very strong. So yeah, such people usually maybe the department heads who have to work with other department heads to be able to get success or to be able to deliver the goods. But your work, your vocation, yeah, apart from working with people, will have some connection to the masses, to society. So for example, you are working in something where the customer service is very important, or coming out with a product where the people use on a day-to-day basis, say for example, electronic product like a washing machine or a refrigerator, or you are selling a product which people use on a day-to-day basis, or selling a service which people use on a day-to-day basis is very, very important. So somewhere societal focus, societal help mass help is very important. So the larger organization that you work for, even better. So usually with this placement, you end up working in some department which does work for the masses, or a large organization or a large brand. So if you're working for a smaller brand, try and work in a bigger brand. Try and work in a larger brand. So for example, the larger brand within the within the industry that you're working, within the country that you're working, the success is stronger in a collaborative effort, in a partnership effort. So usually such people may work in the social media, they may work with NGOs, they may be in some social cause, sometimes they may be with public grievances, or in like a PRO, public relations officer, working for a large brand also, where 2-3 people are working, or you are heading customer service in an organization, or you're heading sales team in an organization where you're going and meeting people on a day-to-day basis. With such a placement, sometimes you also get success through marriage or through collaboration with your partner, and that partner can be a friend first, and then you get married, and then you get success working with the person, or you're working in the same department, or working in the same organization, or working in the same field. Even if you're not working in the same organization or same department, then you get success. However, this is surely something connected to the masses. This is surely connected to where you're contributing directly or indirectly to the masses, and in large brands. So try and work in larger brands, try and work in a collaborative effort, try and work where you are able to be in the front, not in the background, of customer service, of dealing with customers, of dealing with clients, of dealing with department heads. Then you get greater success. However, this also calls for that you may, if the placement is not very good, then your team may let you down. Somebody who you feel is you are very strongly close to, maybe a cousin, maybe a friend, they may let you down. So you need to be very careful of who you are trusting here, because if your reputation goes, then the success also goes. So something which brings you great success of working with people in a collaborative for the masses at a strong level for a higher brand, strongly placement of 7th house lord in the 11th house on the D10 chart. Now when the 7th house lord in the D10 chart is placed in the 12th house in the D10 chart. Now it's important that the 7th house lord, if it's getting into the 12th house in the D10 chart, establishes some sort of a relationship with the 10th house or the 10th lord of the D1 chart, the Lagna chart. If not that, then at least have some relationship with the 10th house of the 10th lord of the D10 chart itself for it to have a greater say. Or it can be through synergy, like for example in conjunction or mutual aspect, or placed in the same sign, placed in the same nakshatra, or maybe conjunct with the same planet in either of the houses. Then it has a greater say, greater success also. But at a superficial level, at an introductory level, this has a strong say where you have to contribute much more, and later great success comes to you. So at the start, you have to contribute, you have to give, you have to be more charitable in your efforts, you have to be more donating in your efforts initially, and then get success later. Very strong placement to do some spiritual work, to work in foreign organization, foreign countries, going abroad, or working in an individual capacity. While you're working in a team, your contribution is individual. So there are 5 people who are working in the sales department. All your figures contribute to overall sales figures. Then only you get your incentives, for example, as a team. But you are contributing on your own rather than working with people, is this kind of a placement. So your final goal is as a team goal, but your contribution is individual, because this is the 12th house which is involved. This is that kind of a role. So if you're working with people on a day-to-day basis, 2 people selling together, then you will get lesser success. You are selling on your own, but contributing to a team goal, and then you're getting higher incentive. This is that placement. Because what happens with this placement is sometimes you work very hard, you do very well, but somebody else who are on their own, individual on your own, rather than working together, they are not contributing that much. So the team effort is not being seen as an overall success. So even if you are putting in effort and you are getting success, but the team's contribution, total overall contribution is not very strong, you feel that your overall effort is going to waste, because the 12th house is also the house of waste and excess. So it's very important that you work with the right team members, with the right department, and in the right role. Otherwise, you end up working very hard, and it's like you have been working hard, but you don't get the success in spite of you doing better than the others. So you have to choose the team very well. You have to choose the department very well. You have to choose the role very well. Many times this can be a very good placement of going abroad and then working in a team and doing very well. So a lot of time with this placement, I've seen people working in the IT field. They go abroad. After going abroad, they are working in the IT field in a team, and then they are contributing, and then they are doing very well. So overall, this can be that. This can also be that you're working in hospitals or clinics, and then you're working in an individual role as, say, for example, a doctor. However, you're working in same department, or you are working in sales in the pharma industry. So your contribution is only your own contribution, but you're working for the medical field, you're working for the hospitals, clinics, something connected to that, or working with foreign lands, or working with foreign governments, or working with administration. I've seen people with public service, even foreign service having this placement, but then in foreign service, you're going abroad and then working with people, maybe in the consulate or in administration or in the government department. So overall, this is still a placement where initially you would need to really put in a lot of effort. You need to work long hours for many years, and then the success comes to you. But there will be something collaborative, something foreign, something working in an individual role, and then success comes to you over a period of time. But when the success comes to you, it is the most stable success. This is the most satisfactory success, and this is also sometimes the most spiritual success. At the soul's level, you feel most contentment when the 7th house lords go into the 12th house in the D10 chart. So friends, now that we have seen how the 7th house lord in the D10 chart in the different houses gives a different flavor, do see in which house it is placed, what conjunction it is placed, on what mutual aspects it is placed, because they will also bring in their own contribution to the overall effect. So friends, like this video, share this video, and if you're looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me. The link is given below. Till some other time with some other video, this is your friend astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.